This is JordangeVision. Pull up a seat and kick up your feet. Welcome guys. How we doing? It's time for another episode of Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. We are on Season 3, Episode 4 now. Started the Season 3 pretty average so far. Got a 2 out of 5 in the first episode, 3 out of 5 in the second episode, and a 1 out of 5 the last episode we did there. So looking to up the average a little bit with Episode 4. Again, we get 5 news stories. If you're not familiar with the show, we hear the 5 stories and we have to guess which ones are true, based on a true story, and which ones are made up by their writers. So, without further ado, let's get into Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction, Season 3, Episode 4. Here we go. Before I get started, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and don't forget, reacting to art is sharing art. Channels like these benefit everyone from the viewers all the way up to the original creators themselves. Also, a reminder, spoilers are likely, so if you haven't seen this episode yet and would like to, please feel free to click off and take care of that first. I'll be here when you get back, but for those of you who are sticking with me, pull up a seat, kick up your feet. It's time to watch Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction, Season 3, Episode 4. Here we go.
A world that is beyond belief.
And here we go. It's like a honeycomb or something.
The truth is often difficult to recognize. Take this illusion. Hidden among this confusion of lines is the outline of a bird. Yet it's impossible to see. But by simply sliding this glass plate, our bird begins to fly before our eyes.
There it is.
And you may capture truth in flight. All you have to do is look between the lines.
That's a lot of lines to look between.
These are the inner workings of a typical computer. How can this arrangement of circuits and wires produce everything from three-dimensional drawings to email?
That's why the computer people make the money.
I went against my best instincts
Birthday
on
party.
Richard's 30th birthday. I bought him a previously owned computer. Richard had
I don't know if I'd buy a used one.
but
I don't believe this. It's a new computer.
not exactly. I bought it used. I hope it's okay.
It's great, Vicky. Thank you, sweetheart.
As long as it works and isn't slow as hell.
I'm gonna set it up right now.
Right now, but I made reservations for dinner.
We'll order in.
Get him a gift and then delay it with the
Special-
dinner.
Setting up all his old programs. And a few new ones.
Well, they got Chinese. She wanted a romantic dinner out, but, you
The
know,
food is getting cold.
yeah, he's hypnotized.
It has so much more power than my old one.
I was afraid he'd become obsessive about it. And all my fears were
Not even a game, it's a spreadsheet.
Richard, that's enough. Come to bed. It's your birthday.
What?
Oh, all bets are off
Did you say
now.
something, honey?
Is he doing math problems on that thing?
Don't be offended if I fall asleep.
Just give
Oh,
me
she
5
will.
more minutes.
5 more minutes turn into hours.
That's what happens with electronics.
2 a.m.
This is why parents limit your screen
How'd it
time.
get so late?
Oh,
What was that?
your cell phone.
Yeah, I turned it off. I was coming to bed and it just...
Maybe it's a new computer. Maybe he doesn't know how to turn it off.
Oh, it came with a warranty. I'll call a store in the morning.
I pulled the plug.
There's a ancient Sphinx virus.
Well, it checks out fine. There's nothing wrong as far as I can tell.
That's why they pay you the big bucks.
Well, it's staying off now. Maybe you were doing something wrong.
Ah, see?
Is that it?
There it is. Maybe you did something wrong.
How does that feel? Uno reverse.
Never seen anything.
There's mail.
That's weird. How can I get mail?
It's probably just junk mail.
It can't be. I haven't plugged the modem in yet.
Okay, that's
Your
weird.
mailbox. You might want to check it.
Don't do it, it's a trap. Help me.
What should I do?
Find out who it is.
Yeah, who are you? Dr. David Statler.
Dr. Statler? That's the guy that sold us this computer. I remember he said he was an archaeologist and he was going away on a dig.
Maybe something's going wrong over there.
Egypt. I'm trapped
Trapped
in
in
Theban's
Theban's tomb.
I'm dying. Please help me.
Dr. Statler,
He's in
how much
Egypt. How are you gonna help
on
him?
his lap?
What's wrong?
What? What are you looking at? Show us. I have no computer.
David
Sending the
Statler
messages
was
telepathically or
found and
something?
rescued. There was no computer anywhere in sight.
The rescue
Okay.
of Dr. David Statler has been documented, but one question still remains. How is the doctor able to send email without a computer? Is there such a thing as ESP mail?
That's a good one.
How do you explain
I like that,
the
ESP mail.
hieroglyphics that
Talk about that one. Guy sells a computer to these people for the guy's birthday. He goes away in a dig after he sells the computer and gets trapped in a tomb and is somehow able to send these messages telepathically through the computer that he sold. He is found in the tomb and is later rescued. So, he said he didn't have a computer, and so, how are the messages getting there? I guess it's possible maybe the computer was like a tool, like a storytelling tool. Maybe they just had a bad feeling something was going wrong in the tomb, and, they said, maybe check on him or whatever, and ended up finding out he was trapped in there. So, because I don't think he was sending his messages telepathically. That's just weird. But maybe there's some other way the messages got to them. This is a long time ago, so there's probably no cell phones really. Kind of leaning one way, but I'm not 100% there, just because this is a very weird story. I will go on record and say I don't believe, he was sending the messages telepathically to the computer, but I think for whatever reason they went to check on him and he was there, and maybe they had a feeling or whatever. I'm going to say somehow, some way, this story is true. I'm going to take a chance. This is maybe the biggest chance I've ever taken because this is a very weird story. That's what I'm going with. I'm going to say this one's true. Okay, one down. Let's get to story number 2.
Do you have a favorite method of falling asleep? Some prefer a cup of hot chocolate or tea. Others take a
Melatonin.
warm bath. Sleep doesn't come easily to millions of people. Jeff is having.
I'm in this story and I don't like it.
His dreams are filled with haunting images of unexplained violent acts, and his waking moments are about to be filled with real nightmares.
I'd been living
Blood
with Katie
donor.
for about I'd been in a serious motorcycle accident and spent the last 2 weeks in the hospital recovering from my injuries. And
This might be part of it.
But I finally told Katie that I was hallucinating about a man committing murders. It wasn't me in these dreams, but they were so real, they left me shaking.
I kind of see where it's going already.
He said they'll be using that story you did before the accident in the next issue.
So he's some kind of writer too, or a reporter?
Hot tomato soup. Good for the soul.
Oh, I could use some soup right now. Way to make me hungry, show.
What, would you try to eat something, please?
He's only got one hand. Soup might be difficult. Well, okay.
Jeff.
Oh, he sees it.
God, it's Jeff!
Oh. Well, R.I.P. Soup.
You killed her!
You're here with me now! It's okay! It's okay!
That's trippy, man.
It was so real. Like I was there watching the whole thing. It was the same man that I saw stabbing at a woman with a knife.
Somehow I have a feeling it's about to become real life.
I know this is going to sound strange, but the hallucination started right after I had that blood transfusion.
Oh, blood
Doesn't have to
transfusion.
do with any-
I wonder.
What if there was something in the blood? Something evil?
Yeah, what if? This could be a murderer's blood.
A blood transfusion can't do that.
I know.
It's time to find out whose blood this is.
The hallucination didn't come back that night, and I finally got some sleep. I was hoping that it was over.
Someone's about to trigger it again.
Another woman was murdered last night a few miles from here. She was stabbed to death. No witnesses. There's a picture.
This is who he saw. Yep.
It's the same woman I saw being murdered.
He's probably the only one who's seen the killer in his hallucination.
And I think it's because I have his blood inside me.
It's weird that
After
someone who
reading
would
that
kill a
story
bunch
in
of
the
people would also
newspaper,
donate
I
blood.
became I
Yeah.
learned a few dirty tricks while I was in college, and one of them was how to hack into databases.
Oh, he's a hacker,
Hospital
eh?
records, it was always a challenge to find the right combination, but I had plenty of time.
1111, 1112, 1113. Oh, found it.
That's my blood donor. Lowell Germain, 1201 Norwell.
Lowell
Boulevard.
Germain.
We should call the police.
No.
Yeah, don't
Not
just
until
walk to a
I'm
murderer's
sure it's
house.
the same man.
Playing a dangerous game, bud.
It's him. That's the face I keep seeing.
What are you doing?
Call the police. I'm going to follow.
Jeff!
Oh, be careful,
I
dude.
don't believe it.
There was a woman walking alone. Luckily,
he's following
I
a
was
woman,
watching
too.
Jermaine!
Uh-oh. Here come. Oh, nice. Why don't you kill him?
Lowell Germain died instantly, stabbed in the heart by his own knife.
Oh, wow.
It was something I had to do. Something that was in my blood.
In your blood and in his blood and... Wow.
Certainly the chemical components of our own blood, such as sugar levels, can affect our personalities. Then again, maybe Jeff was just hallucinating. But why did those hallucinations start right after his blood transfusion?
Okay, lots going on with that one. So he gets a blood transfusion after his accident and starts seeing a bunch of these murders, and it turns out that the blood was donated by the murderer, which is weird in itself, that someone who would donate blood would also, kill 3 and 4 women. So that's strike 1, I think. Strike 2 is, like how? Just like how? Like just getting someone's blood in your body doesn't like give you access to their thoughts or, what's happening in their mind and what's happening in their life, it's blood. It's it's not connected to the brain or anything. It's blood. I've heard a lot of similar things in like horror movies and stuff too. Like one of the first horror movies I ever like snuck up and watched like as a child was a movie about, someone losing their arm and getting like an arm transplant and the arm was from a killer or something like that. So can't remember what that movie was called, but I remember like watching that as a kid. I just think that story's a little too weird for my blood, no pun intended. So I'm going to mark that one down as fiction. All right, story number 3.
Observe the tools of the trade.
The graveyard story.
That is, if your trade happens to be carving headstones for grave sites. Craft
They use
because
a hammer and chisel anymore, do they?
It is with these tools that Otto Schenkel has carved headstones for the past 4 decades. Proud
Maybe
of
if
the
you're old school.
dignities.
I'd been a stone cutter for almost 40 years, and I took great pride in what I did.
Okay.
I approached each tombstone as if it were a work of art.
You can do that by hand. That's actually a talent. And the customer
Mr. Schenkel? Excuse me, Mr. Schenkel?
doesn't even notice. Oh, here we go.
This is exactly what my poor John would have wanted. Something simple, tasteful, nothing ostentatious.
What's it look like?
I looked at her choice.
Oh, nothing?
It was simple, all right.
That is simple.
Well, if I perhaps marble or granite will hold up much better than the cement stone you've chosen.
See what that
Trying to
means?
upsell her.
It's about twice the price for that size stone.
Yeah, exactly.
How would you like that engraved?
You charge by the letter?
Yes, all cutters do.
Oh, man.
Well,
How long is his last name?
Mr. Dunbar from the Sunny Hill Cemetery will be coming by to approve the work. Thank you for everything.
Some of those businesses you don't really think about until you need it, right?
I had learned over...
You must be Mr. Dunbar from Sunny Hills.
Yes, I'm from Sunny Hills. I'm sorry, but this just won't do. We've completed
Really?
it already, but she's decided on a more elaborate monument.
Why the sudden
I don't
change?
understand.
It's a woman's prerogative to change her mind, Mr. Schenkel.
Maybe you
She's
should hear it from her
prepared to pay a
mouth?
lot of
Mr. Dunbar wanted everything first class, and he spared no expense.
Maybe he gets a cut of it too? I don't know.
When it was completed, he was the happiest man I ever saw, and was gracious with his praise.
I have a feeling she's gonna see it and not like it.
I went to the gravesite the day of the funeral, anxious to unveil my work. It was one of the finest monuments I'd ever created.
Making a show of his own work, I guess. Let's see.
I couldn't wait to see Mrs. Richards' reaction.
That's not what I ordered.
As the crowd oohed and awed, Mrs. Richards seemed to be speechless. I was very moved.
Yeah, something tells me she had nothing to do with
This
it.
was one of...
What have you done? That's
Yeah.
not the headstone I ordered.
This is it. I was instructed by your representative to do this, Mr. Dunbar.
I'm Nathan Dunbar, and I didn't order any of this.
Who was the other guy?
Mr. Dunbar came to my studio 3 days ago. He authorized the work. Hey,
Oh,
that's the man.
wait.
There. That's the man that ordered the new tombstone. That's Mr. Dunbar.
That's John.
That's my dead husband, you idiot.
The signature on the contract for the new stone turned out to be not Nathan Dunbar, but John L. Richards, the dead man.
It's
It was
crazy.
examined. The contract was predated 3 days prior to his death. Mrs. Richards had no choice but to pay me the full price of the new stone, $48,000.
Maybe she was going against
Did
his
John
wishes.
L. Richards? Maybe it was the ghost of John L. Richards who showed up to defy the wishes of his loveless wife. Do you think this mysterious tale of the grave marker a fleeting lie? Or is it carved in stone?
Okay, we've seen a lot of stories like this on the show. Like, dead person shows up to carry out dead person's wishes, But yeah, this is a weird one. I think it was one of the very first stories in the first season that, had, the dead person showing up to visit the coffin, and it turns out he ended up in the coffin. He was the dead person. Do I think he actually saw the dead person? Probably not. But I guess it's possible someone could have shown up on behalf of the widow and said, this is what she really wants, and, was completely wrong. Again, this is one I'm kind of going back and forth on. I'm having a hard time settling on an answer. Usually when I start to see like similar themes and similarities, between other stories that the show has aired, it kind of ends up being fiction, and that's kind of what I'm thinking here. So I'm gonna guess that this one is fiction as well. It's a well put together story, and it was definitely, a beyond belief story, in the true sense of the word. But yeah, I think it's a little too much to believe. So I'm gonna go with fiction on this one. Let's get to story number 4.
Once a necessity, now an example of the highest quality of work. When you see a label that reads hand sewn, you're assured that care and craftsmanship went into the final product.
There's another art right there.
Comfortable in knowing they maintain a presence in the lives of their families long after they have passed on.
Probably everyone's got one of their grandma's quilts or something.
This is what it was like on one of the saddest days of my life. I was being forced to move out of the house I had lived in since I was a little girl. I was a single mother with no job, so it was moving day.
Where's she going?
My husband
little apartment or
took me sick
something?
for almost a year. I sold everything to pay the medical bills.
Ah, that's
Things
why.
were hard.
I can't sleep, Mommy. Can I sleep with you tonight?
Aw, you can do it. Time for bed, I guess. And she's looking at her, make sure.
Mommy.
Flashbacks now.
I just can't believe that in a few short weeks you're going to be married.
I'm so excited. Do you think we'll be ready? There's still so much to do.
Honey,
making the
even
blanket
with a
there.
slip stitch, just like in life, a stitch
In time saves 9.
Yeah.
I love the colors you chose. We'll surround you both with warmth. I hope it gives you a feeling of security and comfort.
Is that the blanket that's on their bed now?
Oh, go, it's the florist. You've done a beautiful job. I can see you've learned well. I'll finish it alone now.
Had a good teacher.
It is my gift to you.
Yep. I don't know if it looks like the same blanket or not.
Every cloud
Oh,
has a
maybe.
silver
With my mother's voice still ringing in my ears, something pulled me over to our old hope chest.
Oh, it's probably in there.
Just then, something caught my eye.
It's the one.
Your lead was on your bed in the old house.
Grandma and I made it.
Yep. Oh, what's that one? Music box?
Here, let me wrap you up in it.
Aw. Maybe the little girl can add something to it too.
Look, Mommy, a thread is loose. A whole row of stitches can come off.
Be careful.
Oh, careful. Oh,
It looks like there's more than a few.
oh. Gonna find something in there, aren't they? $100. Is there more?
Oh my god. There's more.
There is. Just what they needed. What's that?
These are stock certificates.
Stocks.
Mommy, it's Grandma's silver lining.
I know.
Well, that's convenient. Throw it around like Mr. Monopoly now.
So it's moving day again, but this time I'm moving back in. Thanks,
Yeah,
Mom.
that's great. Looks like Mom was looking out for her.
And how do you account for the loose stitching on the quilt? After all, she had worked on that quilt hand in hand with her mother. She knew exactly how carefully it was sewn together.
Talk about this one, and this is kind of an easy one for me because it is not completely out of the imagination for a grandma who is making a wedding quilt for her daughter to hide some money in it or hide a gift in it or whatever. This is my gift to you. Let me finish it alone, and that's probably what she was doing. Hoping that maybe she'd find it probably sooner than they actually did. They did find it at the exact time they needed it. I think this is a very plausible story. Could be made up, because it's very convenient how it happened, but there's nothing completely unbelievable about it. I'm going to mark this one down as true. Last story of the episode, then we get our answers. So let's see what it's about.
It's the order of what to wear that goes out from your commanding officer. Millions of Americans have proudly worn a version of this uniform in the various armed forces. For some, caught in the nightmare of battle, it is the last clothing they will ever wear.
Crazy to think
is one
about.
of the lucky ones. That is, if you consider severe injuries and constant medication lucky. But Kevin is alive.
I mean, compared to the alternative, yeah. All right. So which war are we talking? Vietnam?
The year was 1966.
Yep.
In the
Nailed it.
Vietnam War. I'd been assigned to working at the base hospital for the last 6 months. It wasn't easy work. A lot of them were my age, and some weren't going to make it.
Yeah. Crazy to think about how young they all were.
I was especially drawn to one young private, Kevin Yablonsky. I wasn't sure why at the time.
Maybe you liked him. Oh no, he's having nightmares.
No. No. Watch out! Incoming!
Unfortunately, this is probably more common than we think.
Where am I?
You're in the hospital. It's Diana.
You'd never believe it.
Seems like the wrong time to make a joke, but you know, have you seen the show?
We were in heavy bush when they opened up on us. We didn't even see it coming, and they were everywhere. Oh God, they were everywhere.
Take your time.
Slow down, buddy. You're doing great. Oh.
I was the only one still alive.
You're the lucky one, man.
I was in a lot of pain, but I tried to stay awake. I couldn't feel
saved
anything, and the VC were getting closer. I knew they were cleaning up, making sure we were all dead.
I wonder if he played dead or something.
Then I started thinking about my dad.
Means a lot to you.
He was reported missing in action in Korea 13 years ago.
Okay, so it's in the family.
I was 6 years old.
So that makes him 19. This is crazy.
And that's when it happened.
What?
Oh, don't tell me you saw him.
Then I heard a voice. And it wasn't VC.
Hello, Kevin.
I tried to get a look at him. He was wearing combat fatigues from the 50s, and he was carrying an M1 rifle. And I saw his
dad,
face.
isn't he?
He carried me out of the jungle and into a clearing. He popped a flare and a medvac chopper came and picked me up. I thought that I was delirious and that I had imagined the whole thing, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That soldier was my father.
Crazy.
It was him. And after the medics loaded me in the chopper, they found something in my fist.
Like one of his medals or something?
These?
Wow.
Robert Yablonsky, Regular Army 42129.
Those are his father's medals. Wow.
Do you believe me, Diana?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
Kevin and I began seeing each other after he was discharged from the hospital. We fell in love and eventually got married.
Saw that coming.
Is that what happened to Private Yablonsky? Or was he saved by another soldier who resembled his father? But then what about those dog tags?
That's what's getting me right now. To talk about that last one, let's just get right into it. Is that possible? It said his father just went missing in action. It didn't say, you know, he was actually found dead or anything like that. So, like, it's possible that maybe his father is kind of escaped and is hanging around somewhere. Although it's far-fetched to think that he turned up in Vietnam, where his son was fighting 13 years later. But maybe he's alive somewhere. So I guess it's plausible that, you know, he could have showed up. It's a little weird that he'd show up there in the middle of a battlefield. But what I do think is possible is, you know, he maybe imagined his father. We don't know exactly how he got saved, but I'm sure something might have saved him. And, you know, I don't know how the dog tags turned up. That's the one thing that's kind of making me wonder about this story. This might be a little hypocritical because, you know, I thought the graveyard story earlier today was fiction, when I think this story is a little more far-fetched, but something is telling me, I don't know, something's telling me that I should take a chance on this one. And I kind of took a chance on one earlier too. I don't know if I'm all the way there yet. You know, these stories happen and they say they do change some details in the stories. So maybe it's the detail about the dog tag or whatever that might have been changed. Maybe he already had the dog tags with him and didn't remember. Actually, you know, if he went missing in action, then how would anyone have found the dog tags? Maybe they found the dog tags, you know, somewhere else and he wasn't there. But that wouldn't make it a mystery as to why the dog tag showed up. But I don't know. I'm going really back and forth on this one. It's one I'm going to take a chance on, so let's do it. I'm going to mark it as true. I don't know how sure I am about this, but I marked stories 1, 4, and 5 as true. I marked stories 2 and 3 as fiction. Let's see how we did. Sometimes taking chances and, you know, kind of going against my initial gut, sometimes it pays off, so we'll see.
Now it's time to find out which of our stories tonight are inspired by actual events and which ones are totally false. Let's take a look back at the computer that seemed to communicate email through telepathy. Was this one real?
Yes, it was.
Well, it's staying off now. Maybe you were doing something wrong.
Famous last words.
What's it doing?
I don't know. I've never seen anything like this before.
If you thought this one was too outrageous to be true, you're right. It's a work of fiction.
0 for 1.
What about the story of the man who seemed to receive evil blood from a transfusion? True or false?
I said fiction on this one.
Again, Jeff.
Actually, I have a bad feeling I might be wrong now.
If you thought this one sounded like it might be true, we got you. This
Okay.
one's made up.
All right, so that one is right. 1 for 2.
How did you judge the story of the dead man who returned to see that he had a proper headstone?
Okay, so I said fiction on this one too.
Wait, that's the man.
The
There.
dead guy did it.
That's the man that ordered the new tombstone. That's Mr. Dunbar.
Did this one sound like one we might have made up? Well, we did. It never happened.
Okay. Well, that's 2.
How about the story of the mother and daughter who were saved from poverty by a prophetic dream and a special quilt? Was this one fact or fiction?
I said true on this one. I think that is the first time we've seen the first 3 be false.
If you guessed this one was based on an actual event, you're right. Our
Right.
research shows it happened.
So I'm up to 3. Chance for 4.
What did you make of the story about a wounded soldier whose life was saved by the spirit of his dead father? Fact or illusion?
Took a chance on this one and I said fact.
421-291-89. They're my father's dog tags.
According to our research, a similar story happened in South Vietnam.
All right.
It's inspired by an actual event.
All right, so I got a 4 out of 5 today. I kind of like to hear that last story too.
We are bombarded by so much deception in our daily lives that sometimes truth becomes a stranger.
Don't I know it? All right, wrap this one up. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to my reaction to Beyond Belief, Season 3, Episode 4. My best score of the season so far. Got myself a 4 out of 5, nothing to sneeze at. Kind of wish I'd paid a little more attention on the first one. Might have gotten that one right too. I'd gotten another 5, but I'm happy with the 4. I'm happy with the 4. Well, I definitely improved my average this season. So, yeah, I've gotten a 1, I've gotten a 2, gotten a 3, I've gotten a 4. Not in that order, but I have all 4 in the first 4 episodes. Maybe if we keep following that pattern, maybe I'll get a 5 in episode 5. But that'll have to wait till next time. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Check out my sports vlogging channel, JordangeVlogs. And until next time, this is Jordan saying you can be productive sitting at home on your couch. All you need is a TV, a great catalog, and a vision. This has been JordangeVision. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.